Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. For today's video, I want to cover some of the latest Tesla news. I also want to cover some news on Tesla's competition, as well as some news from Ford that I think paint a very murky picture for Ford's future, unfortunately. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, I want to thank James D, Tom D, and Neil B for becoming the newest members of our community. If you're interested, you can click on join right below this video. You get access to exclusive content, or a private Discord, and some emojis of faces. So I would really appreciate it if you consider doing that. Sawyer Merritt with some news breaking. Tesla China car insurance data came in at 18,712 units for last week, making it the second best insurance week ever and easily beating expectations. Tesla is on track for a record quarter in China. If we look at this a little bit further from Roland Percher on Twitter, Tesla insured last week 18,712. This is the week of March 13th to the 19th. And you can see here that this week came in at 19,000 with quite a steady improvement week over week from the 13th of February all the way through the 19th of March. Now, if we compare this again from the same source year over year, week by week, the horizontal line here is what week of the year these numbers came in at. And then the color of the bars is which year that week is from. And then this vertical axis is how many units, how many Teslas were insured in China in that given year. So as an example, if we look at this yellow bar here, this is week 11, which is basically the one that we ended. In 2023, week 11, which is that week of 13 to 19 in March, Tesla did about 18,000. And what's interesting here is if you compare it to the previous year, first quarter, on most weeks, this year was actually ahead, which paints a good picture for the remainder of the quarter in China, specifically for Tesla. There's only about a week and a half left, so we'll get one more full week reading next week, and then about half a week reading the following week because the month cuts off essentially in the middle of the week. So very curious to see what happens there. If this trend continues, we should see a record quarter in China, which is obviously a good thing for Tesla here. There were some concerns around Chinese demand with the price decreases and some of the turmoil around the economy. But it looks like Tesla, at least from some of the data points we have, is that Tesla will do better in Q1 2023 versus 2022, which means that Tesla is growing in China year over year, which I think is a positive. This, I believe, puts Tesla's Q1 probably somewhere around 425,000 deliveries. I'm going to be looking very closely at this for the rest of the quarter, obviously, and I'll keep you up to date as you come back to this channel. The closer we get to the end of quarter, the more I'm going to be updating on quarterly delivery numbers, and it's that time of the month, y'all. So I'm very excited to see how the numbers come in for the rest of the quarter. At the same time, BYD reduces shifts at 2 electric vehicle plants in China sources. So this is one of Tesla's primary competitors in China. BYD, as you may know, is a Chinese brand that creates electric cars, gas cars, and hybrid cars. And BYD offers a quite close competition for China in those markets. However, what's interesting here is that Tesla seems to be having record sales, and BYD is reducing shifts in China, which might say that their demand is faltering in that region, at least for some vehicles. An excerpt from the Reuters article. BYD has reduced shifts at 2 auto assembly plants in China. People with knowledge of the matter told Reuters, in a sign of how weaker demand in the world's largest auto market is affecting its best-selling electric vehicle brand. And so that's very interesting to hear, again, within the backdrop of Tesla's increasing sales in China, is that Tesla's biggest competitor seems to be slowing production in China. And we need more data to confirm if this is because of the price decreases and this is because of the economy, but it's certainly something that we should keep our eye on into the coming months and quarters to see how that dynamic plays out. In the same token, we're also going to look at European sales as well. We have some new data that came out from Europe for the entire European market. So this is new passenger car registrations, European Union. The gray bars are 2021, blue bars is 2022, and the teal blue, I don't know what color that is, 2023. But essentially what it's describing is that year over year for January and February, the sales are up total for car registrations in Europe. year over year, which is a good sign for the auto market. I took some of the data that was broken down in the same document just to kind of highlight by brand how Tesla is performing in the European market. So these are January and February combined numbers for 2022 versus 2023, and the delta, the change year over year for these brands. I highlighted Tesla in red because its logo is red, and the year over year change for Tesla is up 95% year over year from 16,700 units in 2022, January through February, up to 32,835 January through February in 2023. As a percentage of total, though, it's important to keep in mind that Tesla is still quite small in the European Union from a net total car sold in that region. Tesla's market share went up from 1% up to 2%, which for that brand is by far the largest out of any other brand. The closest one is Mazda, followed by Nissan, and then Renault, and then Volkswagen. However, as a percentage of total business, Tesla is still quite small in the region, but it's very interesting to see them essentially double their sales year over year in Europe through the first 2 months of the first quarter. In addition to those news, Tesla, the second Cybertruck Gigapress has arrived in Texas, and installation is expected to happen in the coming weeks here, which points to Tesla theoretically starting their Cybertruck ramp hopefully soon. And it's kind of curious to hear that there's a second Gigapress that arrives, which is quite fascinating to hear. So thank you, Story, for sharing those news. I'm dying for mine. Hurry up, Tesla. I want my Cybertruck. So that's pretty good news. And then, of course, Drew Baglino, who's the essentially the head of engineering at Tesla, reporting to Elon Musk, senior VP of powertrain and energy engineering at Tesla, on winning the Battery Innovator of the Year. Congratulations, Drew. Look at that handsome face right there. So congrats to Drew. And of course, we all know that's why Tesla stock is up almost 8% today. It has to be Drew's award, right? But in all seriousness, congrats, Drew. And of course, the stock price perhaps could be attributed to the fact that Tesla scores blue chip status after Moody's debt upgrade, which is something that broke yesterday, where Tesla got investment grade from Moody's, and now it's double rated from Moody's and the S&P. So congrats to Tesla for achieving that. If you're enjoying this content so far, I would love it if you throw me a like. It helps the YouTube algorithm show this to more people. Thank you so much. And real quick, I also want to remind you that I've started a newsletter through Substack, weekly updates on the world of EVs and technology, farzamesbahi.com/substack.com. Link for that in the description below. I'm getting better at these. It's not smooth, but I promise to improve. The Ford Explorer EV was unveiled today from Ford, and this is a European-only market car to start. It's set to debut at the end of this year, first deliveries in 2023 in Europe, but it's a Europe-only market. This is the exterior. This is what it looks like inside, at least a snapshot. One of the unique features about this car is that you can take this screen and you can essentially move it down and put it at an angle instead of upright, theoretically to better glare. And it's also missing that knob that Fords usually have right here, like the Mach-E and the F-150 Lightning have right here. This car is based on the Volkswagen MEB platform, which is a modular platform that Volkswagen unveiled in 2019. And this is what all the ID4, ID5, ID7, I don't know how many IDs there are, but all the IDs that Volkswagen runs essentially run on the same exact platform, the same skateboard. So the Explorer is basically a Volkswagen ID with different parts, but also different body panels and trim. So it's a very typical legacy automaker type style approach to build the Ford Explorer. Some stats for this car: 55 kilowatt hour battery with the smallest battery at about 218 miles of range estimated. Biggest battery pack, 82 kilowatt hours at 335 miles estimated. This car will also come in single and dual motor configurations. The dual motor will have about 350 horsepower, 0 to 60 probably somewhere around the 5-second area, if I were to guess, maybe under 5. And then single is probably going to be just just a regular old car, 8 seconds, 0 to 60, whatever it may be. Because it's on the Volkswagen MEB platform, this SUV doesn't have a front trunk. It has no frunk. And that's one of the limitations that architecture has, is that that's where all the wiring, cooling, and stuff is housed. So the front of the car, if I go back real quick, so the front of this car doesn't have a front trunk, and the front of this car, of this SUV, doesn't have a front trunk either, which is a huge bummer, in my opinion, when it comes to a electric vehicle that's being unveiled and delivered. The very first delivery is at the end of 2023. The single motor, 218 miles car, the Explorer, will start at around $48,000 US if it was priced in the US market, $45,000 euro, or 45,000 euros, or 40,000 British pound. And so this is giving an idea what the pricing is going to look like for this car once it unveils for the lowest trim. And this is probably before any delivery charges or anything. And those deliveries, like I said before, will start in late 2023 in the EU. Now, I think what's going to sort of highlight some of my disappointment with this car is if we put it against, say, a direct competitor and really understand where the gaps are in sort of the way Ford is approaching this car, in my opinion. Again, this is an opinion piece here. If we put it against the Tesla Model Y, spec'd out of the European market. So this Model Y rear-wheel drive, essentially standard range, is 44,990 British pounds. And if we put this head to head with the Explorer lowest trim, so if we take the Model Y lowest trim and Explorer lowest trim, you'll see that there is a pretty big gap in feature set for price. The Explorer starting at 40, and it should be British pounds. My apologies to my British friends. 40,000 British pounds versus 45,000 British pounds. You have 218 miles for the Explorer, 283 miles for the Model Y. And this is where the price per mile really highlights the value proposition just being really off for the Explorer. It's $183 per mile of range for a 40,218 mile Explorer versus $159, $45,000 car for 283 miles of range. And one of them offers a front trunk as an SUV and the other one doesn't. The Explorer on a price per mile of range is 15% more expensive for a new old car, right? Because it's using the MEB platform from Volkswagen that's being delivered starting in late 2023. And again, this is worth repeating that this is a legacy Volkswagen architecture that offers no front trunk in an SUV in the year 2023, really going into 2024. And so my question becomes, why not use the Mach-E platform? You know, you already have this car build out. You have the Mach-E selling stateside as a ground up EV that, you know, is an SUV form factor. It has a front trunk. It looks great. It performs really well. Why not use that? And then once you start looking at the price of what it's being offered here in the United States and some of the comments from Jim Farley around profitability, I think it really starts to paint a picture as to where Ford is really struggling right now. I really think the strategy that seems very clear from Ford, at least I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it seems like, is that Ford is using a non-EV platform. In this case, as much as we want to say it's an EV platform that, you know, the ID.4 is on, it doesn't have a front trunk, which means that it's not utilizing the car in the way it should from an EV perspective. And so Ford is using the same exact non-EV platform to go down market. And my guess it's because this is really the only way that Ford, Volkswagen, and others could have a shot at profitability by leveraging their legacy systems to release a car that theoretically is as affordable as humanly possible as they move down the price brackets to everyday people. So doing that, in my opinion, maximizes the chance of the product not being compelling, because when you use that platform, again, you lose things like the front trunk. You're probably using a lot more space for things that don't need to be there. Your packaging is off. You have to use a lot more harnessing, a lot more wires, a lot more auxiliary equipment that weighs down the car. The folks at Monroe Live talk about this all the time, Sandy, Corey, and that amazing team over there. This is a perfect example, I believe, of how Ford is approaching this I believe it sucks seeing this. I just wish it was ground up from EV so they can really get the benefits of an EV platform versus a gas car platform. How can an EV SUV not have a front trunk? I'm so stuck on this, but I think this is a huge marker as to why this transition is going to be so difficult for legacy automakers. WTF stands for what the frunk? What the Ford, right? Come on, guys, no cursing on this channel. I'm trying to curse less. And I think it's another signal that the legacy trap is in full effect, where legacy automakers, to try and make money going down market, have to use existing things as much as possible that are not going to be conducive for an electric vehicle versus its competition, especially if you put it up against a ground up electric vehicle a Tesla, a Mach-E, a BYD, whatever. You see there's clear weaknesses here from a car's perspective. Lower range, heavier car, no front trunk. ah, I don't know why it's so crazy. And again, this is a platform that was unveiled in 2019 that is going to have a lot of older technology or older approaches again from 2019 versus 2023 going to 2024. So there's a 4-year gap in advancements in electric vehicles that this Explorer is going to miss out on because they're using a platform that's not even theirs to build their more affordable car to go down market just in Europe, hopefully profitably. And that's still yet to be found. So it's 2023. It's the year 2023. I would like to see legacy automakers take on more challenging things when it comes to really thinking about cars from scratch and not having these really obvious disadvantages from a price per mile perspective and a feature set perspective. To me, I believe that this is a I don't think it's going to be a car that's going to sell really well in a market where they're going to be EVs for the same exact or very similar price that are going to offer a lot more for the money, especially from a range and feature set perspective. And so we'll see. We'll see if that's the case. And really, the ultimate question around this whole equation is, will Ford Explorer EV have sufficient demand given all these points and given all the things we just talked about? Is this going to be a car that's going to allow Ford to really go down market profitably? Or will this be something that they sell 50,000 units, maybe 100,000 units, hopefully, and potentially they don't get to profitability and it becomes something that's a drag on the business instead of something that being good for the business, bringing money, bringing demand, bringing prestige, and allowing more and more people to transition to EVs. We'll see. It's good to see that Ford is pushing towards EVs, but I think this approach might backfire, and we'll see. The jury's out, my opinion. I would love to hear what you think in the comments below. If you do want to support the channel, I have merch in the description below. I'm not wearing a shirt right now. I'm wearing the Dogfather shirt. You can't even see it, but if you are interested in supporting the channel, I have that in the description, as well as a coupon code for AG1, Athletic Greens, which is a supplement I use every single morning, free travel packs, and vitamin D with that coupon. Thank you so much. I hope this video was informative and helpful. We're nearing the end of Q1, and there's going to be a lot going on in the next week or so. So I look forward to seeing you again in my next video. Take it easy. Take it easy, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.